How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Justin in the Minifans. Let's see what happened this week. K. Marco is dead. Julia DeCaro is the worst person on earth. Steve predicted the downfall of Twitter and the Hunter Biden and the Joe Biden campaign. And there is a new live show that is very, very limited. So we're going to do things a little bit different this week. I want to go day by day, kind of talking about Monday through Friday, kind of not just jumping from day to day. And with me today, I have the beautiful visionless Dave.
How we doing?
I have Gig, and I have John from Scranton. He somehow snuck his way on here. So how's everyone going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic.
Nice.
So,
glad to hear it.
So let's start off with Monday. So obviously they taped on Sunday night, and Kirk shit on K. Marco's grave. He already danced on it. Now he shit on it. What are your guys' thoughts on like K. Marco being completely oblivious now in Barstool? What does this mean for the show? Do you guys feel like Steve is going to go back to posting more blogs? I know he recently posted a blog about Mike Pence's old morning radio show, but that really wasn't like promoting the show. Do you think he's going to go back to like writing one blog a day like he was kind of at the beginning of 2019 when they first started? Do you think that's going to be someone else's responsibility, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think kind of like Kirk said, he's going to be in the rubber room. He'll never get fired just because of the sacrifices he made by joining the company early. I did see some clamoring for people wanting Kirk to rip apart his blog post a little bit more. I think at this point, Kirk has literally danced on his grave. So I don't know. You know, Kirk can be very petty when with his victories. He has a reputation for that, which is I think we all enjoy. But I mean, this guy is dead. He's on the kill wall behind Kirk. So I don't know if it was totally necessary to rip through the blog post line by line, but it's a huge win for the show. It
was an embarrassing blog post too. I don't know if you guys got the chance to read it.
It was awful.
It was him pretty much saying, look, I tried my best. I wasn't prepared to succeed, which is complete and utter horseshit when you look at what this Coley guy's already come in and what he's starting to do.
I mean, to look at it from a Barstool perspective, which I usually am looking at it from when it comes to that kind of stuff, like K. Marco fucking sucked, dude. He sucked to begin with, and then he sucked in Kirk's world. So it just, he's a smug prick, and like any content he was ever on, he's a smug prick. Like, I guess that's a good person to have as your editor-in-chief. You want a smug prick, but he was a shitty editor-in-chief and a smug prick. So, like, fuck that dude.
He still has editor-in-chief in his bio, by the way, too. Which I currently put editor-in-chief.
Like I love that petty shit. Like I like
it's just a testimony to how fucking lazy he is, Justin.
He still does have equity in the company, though. Like, he's never going away. He's not getting fired. I mean, but like this is basically like, he's just put in a stupid room and just like go fuck off. You have enough money to let you fuck off.
I think whenever the show starts on a Monday with a musical interlude, you know it's gonna be fucking great, and that's exactly what he did. And I fucking loved it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think K. Marco is going to be working on his review of Cuties next. I think his editor-in-chief job was keeping him from writing. He was very critical
even when he blogged, like everyone said he was a good blogger, and he always had even that like pity ass fucking blog he wrote to exit his way off the editor-in-chief. But like he said, he had great blogs and shit. Like he had blogs that compared like the hottest girls. Like he had it was like clickbait blogs.
Yeah,
like, he was the one who brought clickbait to Barstool. So like to say I had good blogs and blah blah blah. Like no, you had the clickbait.
Was he? Was he a good blogger or was he the first blogger? You know, that's the thing.
Wow,
like,
Justin.
Like, was he the first blogger for Barstool? So, you know, he kind of gets thrown in with this, Barstool is this badass crowd and, you know, writing. Or was he just kind of like the first to do it? I think he was just
Portnoy was the first blogger.
But I think he was the first one other than Portnoy to blog. And so that's why kind of people, when people think of old Barstool.
Well, he was like, when he was brought on, it was brought to the cities. So, like, it was New York, it was that kind of stuff. So it split up, you know?
Yeah,
but
I will say I've never heard anyone say like, "Oh, I really want to see what K. Marco's take on this situation is," you know. So no one's going to K. Marco for his takes. He's the smoke show guy, whatever. But without the backing of the blog, without being the editor-in-chief, I think he'll just kind of fade away into Barstool.
So. In relating to the show, do you guys think Steve's going to start writing more blogs and like putting more stuff out there? Hopefully,
I hope so, man. Because like we did on Mental Intel, the shitty show that I do. We did fucking a video that was the Straight Pride Parade, and Steve wrote a blog for that, and it was awesome. And we said on the show, I was like, I hope now that K. Marco's gone, he'll write more blogs because this blog is awesome. Even if like Kirk was like, you know what? I've been writing this stupid thing for a while. Throw it on the blog. Like, I don't know. I'd like to see Kirk's writing. I don't think I've ever seen Kirk's writing. So if
I will say
up, that'd be cool.
There's not a ton of really great ideas that come out of Mincel Intel. I do like watching the show for the discombobulation. But no, I will give you credit. Maybe it was a week or two ago, you guys were talking about how like some sort of week recap video posted on the blog on Fridays with just some show clips from good moments of the show, maybe just like a 10-minute video, kind of like similar to what a compilation of the tweets they put out on
compilation, maybe call it. Yeah,
compilation of the tweets they put out on the show Twitter. I think that could be cool just to draw in new Barstool readers, just kind of like a best of. Now, Kirk has been vocal that he doesn't always want to do that, but I could see how it could be effective. So I will give Mincel Intel some credit right there.
It's going to be interesting to see the dynamic. Like if Steve does start doing a lot more blogging, I would have to think they're going to be political in nature, and how Barstool's attempting to distance themselves away from that whole politics thing. So was it Steve that asked Kirk on Monday if he planned on blogging, or was that someone else that asked Kirk that? Do you guys?
I think it might have been Kirk, if he, or maybe it was a caller, but I think I don't really know how much. Do any of you guys like check the blog regularly? Like,
see, that's what I said right when I finished that big spiel I had. Like, I don't even read blogs.
Like,
so.
I only read blogs.
John can't even fucking read.
Actual app is I can't read. First of all, so and second of all, the app is trash. Fuck you.
Like, I only read blogs that like get either tweeted out from like the Barstool account, like, and they'll retweet the same blog. I think they retweeted that K Marco blog over the weekend like 5 different times to jack up those numbers. They retweet a lot of Barstool Game Time stuff from Smitty. I never see anything like.
I was into Barstool for video content. Like, I was never a blog guy to be, so like, I think they're going away from the blog.
I don't know how many people check the blog, like check the actual.
Yeah, I'm probably an anomaly there. Maybe just because it's been a habit of mine for like 15 years just to check the blog. Now, I will say I read a lot less of the blog than I used to, but I'll still go on there once a day and give it a quick scroll. But kind of also what you said, Justin, if I see something getting traction on social media or something that's getting a reaction, I'm more likely to look for it there.
Yeah, backtrack and find it. Yep.
Yeah.
Like the last blogs I can think of that were written were Trista Crick's, Kate's, and I like KFC.
Kate used to write funny ass blogs though. Like, Kate used to write some funny ass. Like, that's how she got on. Was she wrote a blog about a pumpkin that looks like it could get smacked, or a Stromboli that looks like a pussy. Like, that's how Kate got hired. Like, Kate used to write good blogs. She used to help chaps blog. But like, the blog isn't that anymore. There's no, other than KB and Nick and guys like that, there's no bloggers that are unique to Barstool that anyone would go to.
I feel like blogs have kind of turned into just following a Twitter account.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, people are consuming their media in smaller bits. And a blog's almost too long for people now, I do find it interesting, though, that in the interview Kirk did with Erica, she did say that she was focused on the blog, as the blog is the only thing that Barstool owns. So I wonder if they're going to kind of push for more blogs. Like, I don't know if like she meant like the in-house bloggers who are like paid and brought in as bloggers, like Trista and people of that sort, or if does she mean like the podcast? Just like, obviously Steve's first job and most important job is producing the Kirk Minahan show.
Well, I think Kirk's different in that situation where Kirk's is like a world. So like, if Kirk and Steve started blogging, it's different than like part of my take started blogging. Like, they do blog. Like, PMT does blog. Like, PFT does those things on Mondays where he does like that football. I forget what it is. It's a blog he does every year though. And like, Kirk and them would be different because they're like, they do stories, they do investigations and stuff. Like, that would be a whole different type of blog.
Yeah,
so
I think the hard part is, and when I go to the Barstool blog now, it kind of seems like it's a lot of the junior guys, the newer guys that aren't really successful in podcasting.
It's farmly.
They're the ones that are blogging. Like, you even mentioned the PFT blog. Like, he doesn't do it anymore just because
real.
He's so busy.
That blog was good,
Monday Morning Quarterback. I think.
Yeah, that blog was good. See, they don't have that stuff anymore.
He just doesn't have. I think if you're huge in podcasting, you don't have time. So it seems like a lot of the junior guys get tasked with more.
Which is fine because you get guys like KB and you get guys like Nick and that kind of stuff. But I mean, KB writes a blog like once a month because they're so good. once every 3 weeks because they're so good. So
there's been a lot of bad blogs as well, because I feel as though Barstool used blogs as a barometer as to how hard you're working.
That's
so
true. That's true. There's just trash
blogs and they're fucking junk.
I think we wouldn't get that out of.
I love Portnoy on his show too.
Yeah,
when he pulls up the number of blogs written. He always pumps his own tires. But if you look at the blogs he writes, 90% of them are just a tweet he tweeted that someone is reposting for him, and he just doesn't acknowledge that at all, which I love.
No, but he's the boss. He gets to do that.
Yeah,
that's why I love Portnoy. He's
and,
I'm the best there is because of pizza reviews.
Based on that, real quick, before we move on to Tuesday. I was surprised when Portnoy was going through. I think it was week 3 when he was going through all the blog numbers, and he said oh, this person has only blogged 9 times. I was like, Jesus Christ, there are people who are writing 9 blogs a week. I'm like, that just seems like a lot, because I don't notice them. I'd like to see the view numbers on these blogs and what the actual.
I don't know much about the blog business, but those numbers are pretty low.
Anyone else have anything to say on the whole Monday? How we started off the week?
I will say there, just while we're on the Portnoy show quickly, there is an element of him calling people live on air and just kind of calling people out and literally calling people. I think last week he called
I love the Eddie show.
And there is an element of that reminds me of the Kirk show where he's just let me call my brother, let me call Carabas. So
he does that, and those calls are good because when he called YP was ready with his facts, and Dave was every time I call YP, he's ready with his shit. But it's I have to call him to make sure he's doing his shit. I love Dave. Dave and I always said Dave and Kirk together is the best fucking.
Yeah, but that's almost in with Dave's doing everything he could do now. Maybe we can get Dave to call in maybe
once every. I don't expect that ever. You know what I mean? Once a quarter. Maybe that would be way too much. But it is what it is.
So getting onto the Tuesday show, you guys all listened to the Erica Nardini interview, where she kind of threw Steve under the bus and said it was kind of his fault for the whole rift between that period when there was the fighting between Kirk and Nardini with the Moron podcast, and the Steve and Mike got fired, and Barstool was taken off the logo of the
taking a move right out of the playbook of one of our guys here. One of our guys here is Steve VD. He got trashed by her. He
got trashed. I'll let you guys go first.
He got body bagged.
I have a lot of evidence to dispute her claims and maybe how that interview was misrepresented. But I want to hear your guys.
It just shows how much of a listener she is and how much of a fan of Steve she must be to just show that she just follows the footsteps of.
I think Steve
body
was
bagging.
I thought Steve was caught between a rock and a hard place there, because I think
he didn't do anything wrong.
If he asks her and says, "Hey, can what should I do?" and she says, "Cut everything about me out," he's like, "Okay, so either I don't do that."
He went with Kirk,
and Nardini's going to be like, "Why wasn't this stuff cut out?" Or he does that, and he's clip cutting Steve again, and Kirk's saying, "Why are you fucking with my podcast?" So I think Steve was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place there. I think it was probably just miscommunication. This is one of the points where one of the times when them being in Boston and Watertown kind of really doesn't really necessarily fuck up things, but it just kind of makes things difficult to communicate, because I'm sure if Nardini was down the hall, in chilling in the gross bathroom, she came out, they could have had a face-to-face conversation, and all this could have been
some of my favorite shows though are the remote shows of Barstool, because the fact that they aren't together is what makes
they've even done that in forever.
But it was like the Pat McAfee show. I love the Barstool Chicago guys.
Oh, you like the satellite offices?
I like the satellite offices.
I thought you were talking about Kirk's remote shows.
So,
no. That's my fault. I did. Yeah, no. The satellite office shows. I love that shit. Even before the Kirk stuff, I listened to Chaps and Kate, the show, when it started. But it's Chaps was in Texas and Kate was there, so there was always stuff fucking up. I love that shit because there's always technical difficulties and shit. So.
Right.
But I love those offices. So but there's not much of it now.
She kind of threw Steve under the bus, but I went back and listened to the interview, and she leads it off by saying, "I think I fucked up how I responded." And she takes a lot of ownership for kind of what happened. She says, "I think there was a misunderstanding with me and Steve in terms of what I was saying. I think I fucked up in not having a cool head in how I responded." So to me, that paints a picture of, and she goes on to say she was vague how she responded. And even Kirk said, in regards to saying the code, it was my fault. That can't be put on Steve. Now, the only thing I think you can question Steve for is, should he have put that piece of paper in front of Kirk? knowing that they were live and knowing that he was fired up, that's a really, really hard decision because they haven't had many circumstances like that. And I'm sure Steve has trusted Kirk in those situations like 10,000 times and nothing's gone wrong. This happens to be the one time where he's a little extra fired up. They're live and there's just this code on the paper that he goes to in the moment. If it wasn't a live thing, I do think they would have cut it out. But that's the only thing you can kind of criticize Steve for.
But like if anything is cut out, Kirk is not here what he signed for. Kirk signed here because nothing would be touched ever. Kirk signed here because he was promised nothing would be touched ever. Yeah.
I think Kirk, to his own admission, he says it's wrong.
Well,
and he probably would have taken it out. I'm not saying Barstool mandating it is the crux of the issue. I think probably pretty quickly after it was done, he maybe not regretted it, but knew it was wrong, and it wasn't a huge issue. I think the episode was back up really quickly.
Wouldn't you want him to go and take it out though, rather than Nardini having to tell Steve to do it?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either way. It's their network, and I think she admitted
and she's the CEO.
She was vague with what she said, so I'm thinking maybe the code is in there, and she says, "Oh, we can't have that out there." And rather than Steve try to just take the code out, you just pull the whole thing down.
The fact is, like, there was nothing dangerous. There was nothing dangerous that was leaked. So, like, if there was something dangerous, the situation would have been much different.
And like she said, she didn't have a cool head.
Steve had to put that piece of paper in front of Steve. Like, there's no question about that.
I knew it was.
He actually, he works for Kirk, so I
agree with that. I think it's Steve's responsibility to put 100% of all content. I don't think Steve is going to ever hold anything back because he believes. I think he learned that.
No, I do think
when the whole family situation happened in like the first week, I think he realized that like, hey, like everything's in play with Kirk. He's not going to sit there and decide. He's not going to censor Kirk when Kirk is very well capable of censoring himself and putting out what he wants to put out. And
that's the best episode when you just hear Kirk like reevaluate having Steve even on this fucking show because of that stuff. Like Kirk is like, maybe you shouldn't even fucking be here. I love that what Justin just brought up. That's a great example. Like Steve did learn his fucking lesson right there too. Like that was a good example, Justin. Good job, buddy.
Oh, I try. Anything else you guys want to say about the Tuesday show? Any other exciting things before we get into the eventful Wednesday? Wednesday was my favorite show of the week. I got to listen to it live in studio. It was very exciting. So Wednesday, I went in there, Shadow Steve, kind of, took some notes, figured out how to get the ball rolling if, Steve ever gets hit by a bus or something of that sort. But there was a lot going on Wednesday. It was the day, Steve came in fired up about the Hunter Biden stuff being released on that laptop being found. Kirk said he didn't think it was going to be too big of a deal. I think what Kirk was trying to say was it's not going to be a big deal in the terms of vote count, but I think in the terms of like media coverage, I think it's going to be a big deal, which is what Steve was trying to say, and it obviously blew the fuck up Wednesday when they after they left because Twitter started banning people and blocking people. Then Twitter went down for like 10 hours. I think that was on Thursday. But it was insane. So Steve kind of getting ahead of the ball on this, and getting ahead of the whole, Hunter Biden story, kind of calling out the hypocrisy of the media here of how they're really trying to cover their ass on this one.
Mm-hmm. I think Kirk was right, like by saying like the people that are already going to vote for Trump are already going to vote for Trump, and the people that are voting for Biden, none of them are going to change it.
I'll put it this way: like I hate both of them, but seeing like the pictures put out of Hunter Biden just proves like I was more of a Trump guy than a Biden guy, but it's just like, dude, it's just getting dirtier and dirtier, and I'm getting less and less interested in it. Like it's just showing like now we're showing like Hunter Biden doing coke off fucking strippers' asses. Like I don't give a fuck about that. Like come on, dude. I heard it's fake, but still, that made me more of a Hunter Biden guy, if anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like now, start releasing more pictures of Hunter Biden having a great time. Maybe I'll actually go vote for him.
The fucking FBI, because the FBI fucking had access to that thing, and they should have done something, way before. I don't think we've even scratched the surface as far.
Oh no, I think they have so much stuff.
The shit that this guy's done. So it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, Steve was fucking flying that flag like a bastard.
Steve gets those things right.
I think it's just interesting, just when Kirk comes in, he's like, and he knows there's some political story that he's half interested in, and Steve kind of, he's all perked up, and Kirk's just like, okay, let's talk about what you want to talk about. And
we talked about at the end of one of the calls this week, Steve goes, I like to think sometimes that you're like the media person for the IRA. He said that.
Yeah.
What the I recorded on my phone because I was like, what the fuck was that? I was like, Steve, he like sounded like he was really excited about it. I was like, I don't know if he's joking here or if he's like,
Steve's a funny guy. He has a very, he knows how to know.
Any response, VD?
Yeah, I love your use of the Steve was right hashtag, Justin. That's exactly how you're going to use it. I went back and listened to some old shows too, right around when coronavirus started. And Steve's predictions of what was going to happen with the pandemic are also eerily predictable. He predicted a year shutdown at least. So he doesn't get enough credit when he's right. But there also, to be fair, might be a circumstance where he's predicting 1,000 things and I'm only remembering the 2 that are right. I will cop to that. But I love the use of Steve was right. Win for the Robba fans.
I will agree. I think Steve was big right on this. And
but how was your day? How was your day at the studio?
It was good. It was good. I kind of sat in a chair. I listened to the show. I took some notes on what Steve was doing.
I'll put it this way. Kirk didn't seem like he hated you there. Like when Will was there, he didn't notice he was there. And then when he found out Will was there, he like freaked out, went to you. It was kind of like, well, first of all, you can't really miss you because you're much bigger than Will. So
no, you couldn't see me.
Oh, you couldn't?
No,
that's a first of all, nice move.
I'm more curious about the lunch after than the actual studio set.
I think you did a good job. I heard you did you asked to
Can you give us can you give us a boots on the ground story from lunch that no one has heard? I heard you had some jokes that missed, but shoot.
We were just talking about how like WEI sucks, and I'm like, and now they lost Courtney Fallon, ha ha ha. But it was pretty much the one thing I will say is that
got him.
People might not realize this, but Bill from Milton's is as much of a Minifan as me, as Visionless Dave.
Obviously, dude.
He started like bringing up things. He was like, "Oh, that interview." He brought interviews up from like months ago, and he was talking things. It was.
Have you reached out for him to be on Mike or Justin in the Minifans show?
I'm not going to. I believe Bill. I would love to have Bill on if he ever wanted to come on.
Surprisingly, I think a way to get a sponsor for the show.
He's busy.
Talk to Bill.
Busy doing things, but it was a really good time. I mean, the lunch was good. It was just mostly just them just talking business deals and about how Milton's and Dave and stuff like that. And it was there really wasn't anything exciting to report on.
Milton's did a lot of sponsors for Barstool, even back in the day.
Yeah, that's what Bill was saying.
They follow both Kirk and Barstool.
The original sponsor of Kirk Minane and the original sponsor of Barstool. So
yeah, that's what I love about Milton's, man. That guy's got to be the man. That's what I've always taken from it. And he like stays away, like he doesn't like showboat or anything like he seems like a good dude. So I'm happy you were able to.
That's really all there really was to report on the lunch. There wasn't anything crazy going on. There wasn't any top 5 lists or people coming up to Steve while he's pissing. Like there wasn't.
Did you ask about any lists or no?
No, I didn't ask about any lists. I just, kind of kept to myself. I was thinking lists in my head. Like I had like in the menu, I know my top 5 like appetizers, but like just in case anyone asked me about them. But how about Julie DeCaro? So she fucking sucks. I don't know if you guys know that.
She sucks.
Terrible.
This girl sucks. I don't know why, but for the one little period of time when she said that shit about Kirk, when the first break happened, I like spent time listening to her show because I wanted to do a call-ins and stuff and talk with her. And I don't know, that was the one time I picked to do that kind of stuff for the Minifan world. And it was the worst, like 3 weeks of my life. It sucked. She sucks. That show sucks. Fuck her, dude. And that caller that called in as her, who was Greg Hill. Greg Hill. That was one of the funniest calls this week. Calls this week. I texted him immediately. I was like, that was the funniest call.
Well, you know why she sucks, and you know why she got fired? It just proves that. So now she's a writer for Deadspin. She could easily start her own podcast if she had any sort of following, but she doesn't, so she didn't. I mean, it's just kind of like
start her own podcast. What is she going to do?
I mean, anyone can start a podcast nowadays. Yeah. If you have a microphone, you can start your own podcast, and she is more than capable. But all she likes to do is she likes to play the victim card over and over and over again. Like half of her.
The fact that Big Cat hates her too. That's insane.
Oh, it's incredible.
Big Cat hates you. That's insane. Like no one hates.
She just makes a career off getting ratioed on Twitter. Like the only people that her work are, I'd say the vast majority of people that read her work are hate reading it. And look, there's a hustle in the game for that. She's the type of person that like prays for bad things to happen so she can write about them in my book. But yeah, she's a wet blanket. She sucks. And thankfully we have people like Steve and Kirk who will protect liberals from like her from getting their hands on the Constitution, you know, because she's as fucking crazy as you can get with that stuff.
So I follow her. I follow her on my personal account. I do not follow her on my intern account. And it's just so strange to see like half of her posts are about Barstool. You literally would have thought.
Yeah, at that point, I hate, like, it's one thing to get into little battles with Barstool every so often. It's another thing to now I'm making a career off of battling Barstool. Then you're like, then Dave and them don't even pay. And
well,
actually, people stop paying attention.
She used to write similar articles like that about Deadspin, Deadspin, and now she works there.
Well,
so
that just shows
no morals, you know. Yeah,
very interesting. Someone might be trying to score an interview with her as a college student, and
undercover.
So
nice.
There might be a couple questions about that going in, but hopefully things move forward with that.
That would be
trying to do that. But it's anything else from the Wednesday show other than Julie DeCaro, terrible human being.
Yeah, let's take that away from this. She sucks.
I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it. But
was it Wednesday when they were talking about like, I don't know, one of the shows started and it was just a couple of bros talking about Subarus. And I thought that
first of all, I have a Subaru.
Dude,
I have a Subaru, and the whole world takes Subarus different than my area. I don't know why, because there's a Subaru dealership there, and like this old like Irish family owned it, and it's like everyone has a Subaru, right? And then I hear that out in the world, it's taken as like this, like
it seems like a
liberal car.
Yeah.
Like this, I texted Steve that episode. I was like, Steve, I have a Crosstrek. It's great on gas. It's safe. It's reliable. It will last you to about 450,000. I was like, first of all, like, don't be afraid of Subaru. Come into it. Like, it's the best company in the world.
That gasket's going to go in that puppy.
Get the Subaru dealership. Yeah,
I'm a Honda guy, but it was.
Honda guy?
I believe that might have been Wednesday when he was talking about him missing his.
I think it was Tuesday.
Stuff like that. But it's yeah. So anything else on Wednesday?
No, nothing else.
No, okay, let's move on over to Thursday. So Thursday was interesting. I mean, we had KFC join the show for the first time in a long time, I feel. I think this is the first time KFC joined the show, maybe had a actual conversation instead of him just like answering a question real quick. In the since Kirk came back at the start of September.
I think you're right.
I like these long interviews with Barstool guys. I like the long interviews with Big Cat, with Dave, with KFC. I could kind of see them going with the rotation of them, you know, one of them comes on every week, like from now on, or maybe one doesn't, if they're too busy, because I'm sure there are certain times that are just busier than.
With all the like random stuff Steve and Kirk like just come up with, like just call this random person. I'm surprised they don't do that more with Barstool people. Like, yo, call Mantis and let's just see.
Well, how many people are going to pick up?
Yeah, no, but like you know how Kirk is, like, fuck it, he'll just do it. He doesn't give a fuck if it's bad radio. Like, he doesn't give a shit. He'll just do it. Like, he'll try. You know, like, that would be funny if they try and, like, Vance is picked up and then something. If nothing comes from it, then nothing comes from it. But that would be funny.
Yeah. Well, he's been using Carabas a lot in that regard.
That pick up anything.
That's what I liked about the KFC call was, and I said this on the rundown, but I think they could have had that conversation off air easily, and it wouldn't surprise me. Like, it didn't really feel like too structured. It just kind of flows, and I do like the dynamic between Kirk and KFC. People, if I had to choose Big Cat calling in or KFC, I think I might choose KFC just because Big Cat's great. He's an ally of the show, but you kind of know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah, I think KFC is more of a KFC would fit better.
He's more candid, for sure.
Yeah, more candid. He's uninformed and he doesn't try to lie about it. But I enjoyed the call, really. I think it was great.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think KFC Radio is a lot more. It's probably the most similar show to the Kirk Minahan show.
Yeah, I meant uninformed about like Miniverse stuff. Like, I don't think he's going to drop reference. But it is similar.
He's more conversational when he's brought on the show. Big Cat's ready. It seems like he has a script, like jokes to say, but I think like he does that because he dives in a little bit, whereas KFC doesn't. But KFC like fits in just as well.
How funny would it have been if KFC at the end was like, "Actually, I'm doing a show next week with KMS Brews."
Yeah. I think
You know what I liked about that interview is when KFC says to Steve, like, okay, give me the long and the short of the Hunter Biden situation.
Yeah, I love
Steve was
that.
so fucking succinct with it.
He was.
Like, okay,
he was
there
ready.
something
He
for
was.
reason. And fucking just rattled it off. And KFC's like, all right. It was like the most perfect.
And then it was
synopsis
on
of what
point.
was happening. Yeah.
It's just like I relate it to how Kirk, if he wants to, can snap into sports talk. Like he can just put that persona on. Steve can kind of do the same thing with political talk. Now, Steve is a little bit actually more passionate about political talk, but they can just flick that switch and just go on like it's nothing, you know?
Yeah, it was funny.
The other
thing, go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say the other big news Thursday is that's kind of when, Twitter went on this whole blocking parade. And if you tweeted out the New York Post story, you were getting blocked. There was this whole kind of firewall put up where, I feel like I think that was the day everyone got couldn't tweet for 5 hours. And they said it was a coincidence, but I highly, highly doubt that when you just look at these.
Did you retweet the video? Did you retweet it?
I did not. The New York Post story?
Yeah, did you retweet?
No,
I you didn't. Not. Did anyone on the show retweet it?
I don't think so.
Because I heard people who did retweet it, they couldn't use Twitter for a little while.
I couldn't use Twitter for a while.
Twitter was down all over the world, not everywhere, but in major cities it was down for about 4 or 5 hours. And my immediate reaction was like, "Fuck!" I got quote tweeted the Hunter Biden's picture and very clearly explained how it's not a crack pipe, it's a meth pipe. That's good journalism. So I thought I was
good journalism experience.
And then I was very happy to realize that everyone was experiencing similar issues. But yeah, it's a crazy move by Twitter. I agree with Kirk that I don't think it'll have a huge impact on the election, but it is kind of indicative of Twitter taking a stance on what they will and will not censor. And from here, I mean, nothing would shock me. Like their next move is not going to shock me. I think they're pretty aligned with the left, and they're not really shy about it.
Facebook is virtually just as aligned with the right, though, too. So I always look at it that
Facebook
way.
was censoring the New York Post story too.
Yeah, I've never heard Facebook being
not aligned with the fucking right.
It's mostly older. It's mostly an older generation on Facebook.
That doesn't mean they're aligned with the right, John.
I'm not saying the listen, I'm not saying the company. I'm saying the people on Facebook are more aligned to it. So it's less
around here, brother.
Dude, I see mostly Trump stuff on there.
We love Biden. Trump's
you live in Maine, dude. You live in Maine. I live in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I heard there's Confederate people just flying.
Everyone around here votes for Trump
constantly.
But Pennsylvania was blue before.
No, bro, we were the one who won Trump the election.
No, look, the election.
Oh yeah, every other election, yeah, we vote blue. Yeah,
very cool. But so, do you think the show's ever going to get blocked?
What show?
What show?
Twitter account?
Show. Yeah, the Kirk Minahan show, Twitter account. Because I would be afraid that, you take a look at some of the things Twitter's blocking. It's not out of the realm of possibility to say, oh, this big Steve 207 guy is pushing right-wing conspiracy theories, or he's saying something that Alex Jones said was correct, so he's off Twitter now.
That's if Trump gets elected again, everybody wants that. If that happens, that will be some good content we will get.
I don't think if the show gets kicked off of Twitter, I don't think that's good content. I think that's terrible for the entire universe.
You don't think Kirk could just rebuild it? I think Kirk could just rebuild it. It's Kirk.
I don't think they'll get locked out permanently, but a suspension wouldn't surprise me. I don't think they'll get the Turtle Boy full ban, but there's tons of people I follow that are shadow banned. I think there's different degrees of it. I know MHB is pretty shadow banned. Some of the Channel Zero guys, my account will unfollow them all the time. I have to refollow them. So there's definitely some suppression of information going on there.
KMS Quotes was
yeah.
What was that about?
It seems like Twitter doesn't like the C word all of a sudden. If you're dropping the C
that
word,
would make sense with the world like it is today.
Does it though? Does it?
If those guys can get suspended, then
yeah.
A lot of people are saying because it was Kirk calling all of them incel druggies, but we'll talk about that.
I'm not saying the show should change what they put out on Twitter. I'm just saying I think it's fucked that Twitter has the ability to
they do
ban people to say, oh, you're calling this person a cunt. It all depends on who you call a cunt. You call Melania Trump a cunt, and they're throwing a parade in the street and everyone's hugging and kissing and holding hands and jumping up and down. But you call Darren Ravel a cunt, and you're off Twitter for 7 days.
Worst too. Speaking of him, he sucks.
The whole thing is it sucks. At
least we still have the security of the RSS feed where I haven't heard of any RSS feeds being censored like federally or anything yet. Of federally, like government or by companies?
Not by the government, but like
I don't think you hear about
you look at
federally
Infowars, you look at like none of their things are available. I think that's what Erica was talking about when she said like the blog is the only thing they actually own, because if Apple decided one day, hey, no more Barstool stuff. Spotify decided, hey, no more Barstool stuff. You know, then they're fucked. I mean, they can like come up with their own. You know, they can put it on their own website, but it's something that they're not currently prepared to do. So no, I definitely I don't think it's out of the realm. I don't think that the Kirk Minahan show is anywhere near close to getting kicked off of Apple or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like down the road, I could see some activists going towards them. I mean, we know some people have some connections at Apple, and it's just scary to see, like, once that precedent has been set, once Apple says, hey, we are determining who can post what on our RSS on our podcast system. It's a slippery slope. So I think that's the other big takeaway I got from Thursday, was that it's just scary to see, you know, what could happen.
I have faith in Steve that I'll take down those fucking liberals. I have the faith in Steve. I have that faith.
But will he take them down just to like sit on their throne?
I don't care then. If Steve's sitting on the throne, that's fine. If Steve takes him down, that would be fine. I don't know. Steve is in war. I like Steve on Twitter is funny because like he just does his political takes and that's it. Like he like rarely interacts with people. He just does his political like power tweets and then that's that. But
Steve's best quote this week was, "You shoot to kill, so there isn't a lawsuit."
That is very that is very true.
I don't know if you talked about that on the rundown, BB. But
when they
that's funny.
When they were talking about the town hall debate, and you know, I had to watch. So Steve was watching the Trump one. I got to watch the Biden one to look for any gaps, and the Biden one was so fucking boring. I mean, really, the only good quote he had was that one in like his daddy stories. But it's that is true though. If you shoot to kill. You don't shoot to injure, because that's not how you survive. This isn't a fucking Hollywood action movie where, you know, you're shooting people in the ankle and they, you know, do all that fun stuff. But that's, you know, that's,
pop them in the kneecap. Pop them in the kneecap.
That's right wing Justin going off on a little rant here. But I want to talk about the main thing on Friday is, you know, we kind of got a little, we didn't get a little, the live show was announced, the next live show, November 8th. It's a Sunday. It's going to be 95 people. It's going to be given out through a raffle. $25 a ticket. All the proceeds are going towards the VFW.
I might spend $10,000 and just buy that many tickets, dude, and just like people could.
I think it's an interesting way to do, like,
it's a great way,
charity shows from now on.
Yeah,
you know, because I mean, I think at a minimum, I think you're going to get.
You think Kirk's ever stepped foot in a VFW hall?
Definitely.
You think so?
Do you hear Tony laugh at that?
Like, I don't know if the VFW halls are all the same around the United States, but like up around here, it's like you have that one lonely hot dog that's been in the steamer for 4 days. Yeah. You have scratch offs and pull tickets and darts. You got to play darts when you're at a VFW hall. And
who knows? It could be on his list of places to stop and take a shit while on a road trip. You never know. So I think maybe that's probably the only reason he would have ever been there.
It's probably nicer than the studio by the sounds of it.
Will this be Steve's first live show at a VFW, or do you think he's done a couple with Howie before?
Steve's definitely. I saw that picture of him in high school. He's
at least in the parking lot, for sure.
Yeah, he's done things at VFWs. Yeah, I've seen that picture.
But are you guys planning to, you know, buy a raffle ticket? Or?
Like I said, I might buy like just a shitload just to be an asshole. What happens if I buy $5,000 worth of tickets? Right, my name gets called. Do they take the rest of my tickets out?
I think Kirk said on Friday, I think you can win
multiple tickets.
You should be able to win multiple
the tickets.
Yeah.
Well, they got to fish through the thing after they pull your names.
Yeah, I mean that would be so John bought 200 tickets. You know.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be feasible.
Yeah. But I think it's a great idea.
VD, if a fan goes out there and gets like 4 tickets, I think that's pretty good. You know, $100.
Yeah.
That's
VD. I think that. Go ahead.
You planning on buying any tickets?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the lottery system is there's a very slim chance I could probably make it just because I'm in California and it's late notice. But I don't mind spending $25 to buy a lottery ticket for maybe the chance to win some power and then be the Willy Wonka with the golden ticket. I get
I'll fly you out here. If you get the ticket, I'll fly you out here, buddy. Don't worry.
But, I mean, it only takes one to win.
That little golden ticket, buddy.
Do you guys think that this is the time that the Steve Hayes love to come out of the woodworks? They did it with the 5K. They've done it with the pizza, the billboard. Is Steve going to mess this up in some way that allows for these guys to come after him? I mean, they're going to do it regardless, but do you think everything will run smoothly? Is basically my question.
I think some people are just going to complain in that it's $25 for a non-guaranteed seat, but they don't realize it's not a for-profit charity. This is going to literally the people who have friends who have died, protecting our lives, to make sure that they still have a place where they can go and feel safe and be together. So and also it's just no one's forced to go to these things. Everyone feels like I've gotten so many messages, people like, what can I do to get in? And I was like, buy a ticket. I was like, buy a raffle ticket and then hopefully you win. It's it's not the end of the world if you don't get in.
Right.
I will say, I think there's going to be it's going to be a great time, but people are I literally had someone fucking messaging me saying they're having a panic attack that, they might have to put out $500 worth of tickets. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do about it?
Kirk's not putting up with any bullshit either. He's like, I want this to be a fucking raffle. No one gets a fucking ticket. I don't care if it's your mother, your brother.
Chrono's going to have to fucking earn.
Oh,
Chrono will earn one. Chrono will earn one, buddy.
But I've had the conspiracy theorists of the KMS world in my DMs saying, what if COVID restrictions change after they sell tickets? What if they pick a winner and they can't get in contact with them? Our ticket's going to go on sale later. So they're ready to pounce if there's any room for them to. I happen to think Steve will do a great job and it will run very smoothly.
I think it's going to run perfect.
I also think it's an interesting dynamic where you're most likely, if you win, you're most likely only going to win one ticket. So there's going to be a lot of people going there solo, which will make for an interesting social environment at the show.
Yeah, you can't bring your boo thing to it.
Yeah, so there's going to be no hiding. Going to be a bunch of socially awkward people in a condensed space outside of the VFW.
What are the tailgating laws in Massachusetts?
Yeah, I can't wait to not get a ticket and tailgate outside of it with gig because that's what I'm doing anyway.
What real fucking beans? None of these ones.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is,
yeah, baby.
I think everyone will be fine. I don't think you have to know each other. If you're going to this Kirk Minahan live show, you are a Minifan. And I feel like you're going to be able to sit down. You're going to say things take time with people. And next thing you know, the people at your table are going to be best friends.
It'll give you another badge to judge new fans by. You weren't at this show.
Do you think the cleaning of the bathroom is a good? I think that's an easy way to get a ticket.
I was gonna volunteer for it. I would do that. I'll clean the fucking shit out of your bathroom.
Yeah, I texted.
I don't care if there's a shit in the toilet.
No turd.
Yeah, if I need 2 tickets though, bro, I need 2 tickets. But I'll clean your bathroom.
Before they came out with the whole ticket thing, with it, I was texting Steve and saying, "Hey, listen, I'll clean, I'll come and clean the fuck out of the office.
You don't have to ask Kravis's mom, Dad.
Once every 2 weeks. I'm fine. I'm fine cleaning up shit and piss and stuff.
That's how I am. I don't care. As long as you go shower after, fuck it.
I was in spring break.
Yes.
I was in spring break when I was 19 down in, what the fuck is it? Daytona Beach. And my buddy puked all over himself and he was pissing himself. And I literally threw him in the bath and I'm literally he's dead. And I'm cleaning off all this piss and puke on him. And everyone's like, oh, dude, that's so fucking weird. And I'm just like, who gives a fuck?
He's dying.
Yeah. I wanted to be
a story.
I thought I was going to be a nurse for half my life. So,
you'd be a great nurse.
No, I'm not.
Dude, Justin would carry me that small little.
He'd be like fucking Hodor.
Yeah, dude, he would pick me up and transfer me to other beds so politely, dude.
I think cleaning the toilet's one thing, but fucking eating Franks and beans off the fucking floor of the toilet seat.
I do that too. Not a toilet seat.
That bathroom looks dirty, but that's a 10 to 15 minute job. If you get in there, you knock a little Red Bull, you get in there fired up, you got your rubber gloves on. That's not a big job.
And also,
Yeah.
kid, I know it's not kind of your generation, but my generation eats ass. Like it's the fucking
Yeah, we eat
we
ass.
eat
Thank you, Justin.
I'm
Thank
not
you,
100
Justin.
years old, Justin. Jesus Christ.
I know, but you're
I was
saying
probably the first person to put
Dude,
great
did
jelly
Justin
on an
just
asshole.
say that? That was fucking great line.
Gig plays
Yo.
bass, so you know he eats ass. You know,
Yeah,
the bass
Gig
player
definitely
Yeah.
eats ass. Look at his background. He's the coolest.
but it's
Sweet.
So who do you think's gonna end up doing it? I think Patrick has the inside track.
Yeah, sir.
I got my money on Jason from Attleboro. You know, he's a wild card. I think he'd be a good candidate for the job if he is willing. I don't know why. I just got a gut feeling. It's
Happy
gonna be
birthday
Jason
to my
from
guy,
Attleboro.
Jason from Attleboro.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Jay.
Okay, so
I love Justin.
Great predictions from John. That will definitely be a Warden clip right there. Great predictions.
Yep.
any other,
Okay.
let's wrap this up. I think this was a different Justin and the Minifans going day by day. I thought it was interesting. Thank you guys for joining me. Anything else you guys want to bring up? I know John, you said you had something.
Oh yeah, LK is trying to surprise Wake Up Will tomorrow at 9:30 live on Periscope, and he tweeted it out. So I don't know if Will is gonna see that, but I'm sure he's gonna be shocked by it.
Anything else you guys want to say? BD.
Thanks for having me. Happy to
Yeah,
be
thanks,
here.
buddy.
Thanks for having me, bud.
I saw someone in the comments saying Julie DeCaro pegs Justin. That would be
Whoa, Justin.
would be a dream come true.
Hey, Tony.
You said it over and over and over again. If only that would be true. Okie dokie. I will talk to you guys later, and I'll